Good morning and welcome to Jasiri on a Wednesday. This is where we say Happy Wednesday. We are here and we're live on News Central's Jasiri. Today is going to be hotter than it's ever been, but then which day isn't hot here on Jasiri? We are bold and we are fearless, and this is what we have in store for you. We have a lineup of conversations that we plan to get into with you, but first, as we like to say, one of our recent hot topics has gotten even hotter as News Central's correspondent in Delta State reports that the state chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress may be drawing the battle line with the state government over the newly introduced, or rather revised, dress code for civil servants. The meeting is scheduled for today, and I'm very sure that Austin Azu will have updates for us when it happens. But if you missed it, here's what's causing all the noise. Last week, the state's head of service, Minimi Oseji, issued new rules regarding appropriate dressing for civil servants in the state. The reviewed dress code has been drawing mixed reactions from both within and outside government circles. The directive sets strict rules for attire based on rank and gender.
Male senior officers from grade level 13 and above are expected to appear in full suits, while lower grades must wear shirts with ties. Bushy beards are also banned for women. The policy permits corporate gowns, skirt suits, and trouser suits for senior officers, while junior staff may wear gowns with sleeves and below-the-knee skirts with blouses. However, braided or tinted hair, long artificial eyelashes, and artificial nails are prohibited. The new guidelines have sparked debate, with some supporting the move as a step towards professionalism, while others see it as unnecessarily restrictive. The state government has waded into the controversy over the new dress code for civil servants, with the Commissioner for Works for Rural Roads and Public Information, Charles Aniago, saying the dress code is aimed at promoting discipline, decency, and professionalism within the civil service. He stressed that the senior officers must lead by example by modeling appropriate attire, setting the tone for the rest of the workforce.
Let's take a look at a package or reports that sheds a little bit more light on this ongoing controversy.
The new dress code for civil servants in Delta State is drawing mixed reactions from within and outside government circles. The directive, issued by the state head of service, Minimi Oseji, sets strict rules for attire based on rank and gender.
These are not new rules. They are rules that have been there because the service has its own rules for civil servants.
What I see that may be a little bit discriminatory is that some persons are empowered to be more decently dressed than others. Like the legal officers, the law officers, the members of the House of Assembly, the protocol officers, this cadre of officers, they have allowances for outfits.
So let the government include this, what they call wardrobe allowance. That's what they do in the banks now. That's why you find the bankers dressing well as if they are superhumans. No.
At a press conference in Asaba, the State Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, Charles Aniago, says the dress code is aimed at promoting discipline, decency and professionalism within the civil service.
That you must take cognizance of Code 04314, page 42 of the Civil Service Rules, which says that you must be decently dressed. What we are talking about is decency. Where an individual comes to work and you are wearing spaghetti hands, is it your intention to seduce your directors?
The chairman of the state NLC, Goodluck Ofobruku, who criticized the government's directives, has convened an emergency congress for the leadership of the union to determine the union's stance on the government's policy.
Yes, I have already summoned a state executive council meeting of Nigeria Labour Congress, made up of all the unions in the public service and all the unions in the private sector. By Wednesday, we shall sit and look at the directive, and the State Executive Council will direct me as appropriate. For now, we say no to the new dress code. And it is not just me, it is Nigeria Labour Congress, Delta State, and the Trade Union Congress, Delta State Councils.
According to the circular, male senior officers from grade level 13s and above are required to wear full suits, while lower grades are expected to wear shirts with ties. Bushy beards are also prohibited. For women, the policy permits corporate gowns, skirt suits, and trouser suits for senior officers. However, tinted hair braids, long artificial eyelashes, and artificial nails are not allowed. In Asaba for News Central, Austin Azu.
So interestingly, when we took this story on Friday, it was almost a sort of tongue-in-cheek kind of conversation because we're like a dress code, civil servants, so they have other things to do. But I've always said you can walk and chew gums, you can do multiple things, right? Yeah. But now, as people have reacted, and now we heard from the NLC Delta State chapter, I'm like, is there something more that we don't know? And my main issue still remains how we are relegating our cultural and traditional attire to Fridays and special occasions only, and taking on what is attire that does not even suit our environment. I was talking about it with my husband and some friends, and you're going to see some suits that, because people are just going to sew anyhow, it's going to be like suit that somebody threw, you know. No, you don't know.
We call it suko. A coat that is an amalgamation of suit and coat.
You know that coat that is an amalgamation of a suit and coat. It's called suko.
That's what they'll be wearing.
And then there was a point that you made after the conversation last week that we didn't speak on. You can get, some women will wear suits. You wish they were wearing something else.
Do you understand? So when we say we are wearing outfits that don't belong to us, they're not naturally. Shouldn't we be pushing made in Nigeria product styles and everything?
Made in Nigeria.
There's so many attires that men wear nowadays. They look so decent. Smart women. They look so smart. I remember when I was on NT many years ago, we used to wear print.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was push out made in Nigeria products. Make it, love it, wear it. That was the whole mantra. But now you're pushing us to be wearing Suko. Not even ties. There's going to be bow ties now even.
All I know is that, you know, there's good and bad sides to these things. I just think they're pushing for an extreme that is a bit overreaching. What has nails got to do with their work? You know? Except maybe you're a typist or you're a secretary and it hinders your work. You might decide to have pedicured nails. It doesn't mean are they going to be choosing the shapes of what their nails look like? Or if you have artificial lashes, there are actually lashes that are quite natural and suit your face. Even we that would dress for corporate times, we know the limit to which you can push. I doubt if anybody will work in a civil service and wear spaghetti strap to work. I doubt that very, very, very much.
So that's like the question we ask, what's the background to this? And I think it'll be very interesting to see whatever the background is, but also to see how this plays out. So NLC is calling an emergency Congress meeting, the NLC chapter in Delta State, on this issue. And so I want to hear more about what their concerns or their issues with the directive is. Is it that they were not informed, they were not involved? Do they think it's too restrictive? And let's be honest, we need to have this conversation because we are seeing how people dress around this country. And it's like people do not understand time and place and occasion. But in civil service, I'm pleasant. I'm a bit surprised at what's going on.
And when they say free gown, I want to know, you know, there are some women come in different shapes and sizes. A size 18 can look nice on some. And another size 18 has more hips or more stomach it just doesn't look right. Are they going to be asking them to wear only tent dresses or A-line dresses? That means nothing that cinches your body in any way. Because there is a way you can still wear a skirt suit or a dress.
Fully covered and still be
fully covered and fully vulgar.
I think if we just understand the general purpose or general definition of decent, I don't think people categorically dress anyhow in the civil service. It's not,
unless we're missing something.
We're missing something.
I doubt it.
Let's give space for this because Austin, I'm very sure Austin Azu will inform us later on News Central what exactly the NLC in Delta State has an issue with concerning this revised statement. But we have to go somewhere else. We're going out of Nigeria, out of Lagos very quickly. Kat?
So we're headed to Malawi, where political analysts say the election results trends so far point to a decisive shift, with unconfirmed results pointing to former President Peter Mutharika performing strongly both in urban and rural areas against the incumbent Lazarus Chakwera. News Central's Bongani Siziba is standing by with updates. Bongani, good morning.
A very good morning to you and our viewers.
Thank you so much. So, Bongani, what are things looking like in terms of the results that have come in so far? What's the general atmosphere this morning?
Yes, we are at the results tally center this morning where I'm live. We have been outside the inside the network is a bit bad there, but now the nation is waiting anxiously for the election results that are trickling in. Yesterday, Malawians exercised their democratic rights. Over 7 million registered voters, but out of 7 million, we understand that only 6.8%, that is about 4 million, came out to vote, which means the others, they didn't come out to vote. But we had an opportunity to speak to those who didn't vote yesterday, asking them why they did not participate. Some of them, many expressed reluctance to voting. Some said nothing has changed for them. Some feeling disconnected from voting. Others cited logistical challenges. I think you saw the visuals of long fuel queues, fuel scarcity. So citing many reasons why they did not vote. But back here at the tally center, election officials are now busy tallying the votes, with the results will begin to emerge soon, starting maybe tomorrow. So we have seen President Lazarus Chakwera seeking his second term. His main opponent is Peter Mutharika, and on the ground people are saying that the former President Mutharika is doing well, but we have not seen official results, but it's just the rumors going around. Malawians are still anticipating that whoever wins is going to live on his promises to revive the economy, restore confidence in the government institutions. And we know that former President Peter Mutharika emphasized his achievements in the infrastructure, though his tenure was marred with corruption scandals. But he promised Malawians that when he comes back to power, he's going to fix all that. So with a population of 20.6 that is battling economic challenges, Malawians rely heavily on agriculture, especially tobacco. But with the climate change that has taken a toll, Malawians are struggling. So results, we are still waiting for the results, the outcomes of the choices that were made by Malawians on Tuesday, how it's going to shape the country's future for the next 5 years. But for now, at the tally center, it's back to you in the studio.
All right, Bongani, I'm wondering that what is the general feel of the people, because we're looking at Lazarus Chakwera, who is the incumbent president who is seeking a re-election, and another party who is a former president, that is Peter Mutharika. What would you say is the major difference that the two of them have? Because one is a former president, one is seeking a re-election. What is in the minds of Malawians? How do you think they're swaying? Are they swaying to either side, or a lot of them are standing on a different line?
So just to give you a little bit of background on that, Peter Mutharika ruled Malawi, I think that was around 2012 going upwards, and Malawians are saying that there was corruption, the administration was not taking good care of Malawians, and now we have the current president Chakwera. The Malawians still feel the same, but it's more likely, if I could explain it this way, that if you clap me today, then 10 years down the line someone wants to clap me, then you come to my rescue. Definitely I would say you are the good person. I think that is what basically is happening here in Malawi. They are just recycling the president whom they think maybe, because they no longer want the current president, according to the people that we're speaking to. So what is the choice that they have now is maybe to recycle back and see what the former president, Peter Mutharikwa, maybe can bring. But also we have the former president, that is Joyce Banda, who is also vying for this presidency seat. We haven't heard much of her, especially when it comes to citizens speaking much about her. So the two contenders that we are seeing here is the incumbent, that is Lazarus Chakwera and Peter Mutharikwa. So, however, the votes are going to sway. We have heard citizens speaking unconfirmed reports, some saying that Peter Mutharikwa is doing well.
All right, so Bongani, before we let you go, when should we expect to hear a final election? When should we expect to hear the final election results? And should we expect a seamless transfer of power?
So the results here in Malawi, it has to take up to 8 days before they announce, or within the 8 days. So from today, we understand that the councillors and the members of the parliament results might start trickling in tomorrow, that is Thursday. Then maybe up to Saturday, we'll have maybe Saturday or early next week, or even over the weekend, we might start to get the results of the president who won these elections. But however, like I said, that Malawians are really anticipating to see who is going to take this seat. But many of them are really looking for a change. They are saying they are not happy about the current government, so they rather recycle what they had, because actually they do not have much choice, because we have not seen even the youths coming out maybe to say they also want this seat. So it's only Peter Mutharikwa, who is at 85 now, who has come back to say he's rescuing Malawians. But so Malawians, basically, they do not have a choice. It's either the incumbent Lazarus Chakwera or the former president Peter Mutharikwa.
All right, Bongani, thank you so much for that update. I know throughout the day, as more information comes in, we'll be touching base with you on News Central. Thank you so much. Wow, I have a lot I want to say, but time is not with us, ladies.
We'll take a short break. So when we come back, the dangerous journeys Nigerians take in search of greener pastures, the irregular routes, the risks, and what happens when they're brought back home. Our guest today is Ali Ibrahim, head of Sub-Office for the International Organization for Migration, IOM Nigeria. Stay with us, you don't want to miss this.
The ladies are getting a geography lesson here, but thank you so much for staying with us. Once again, this is Jasiri. Now, every year, thousands of young Nigerians risk everything for the hope of a better life abroad, only to find themselves stranded, trafficked, or being sent back. So far in 2025, over 70,000 irregular migrants have been repatriated to Nigeria under the International Organization of Migration's programs, and roughly 27,000 of them have been reintegrated into their communities through the AVRR scheme. Now, a new survey and the data from that suggests that awareness of the risk involved in irregular migration remains patchy. In several states, more than half of the returned migrants admitted they had limited understanding of the dangers ahead, from human trafficking and detention to abuse and exploitation along the journey. The routes are perilous. Many leave from states like Edo and Delta, crossing through transit countries in the Sahel or via dangerous sea routes across the Mediterranean. Many pay tens of thousands of dollars to smugglers, often with false promises, only to encounter brutality, loss, and broken dreams. Now, Nigeria, through IOM and partner agencies, is pushing hard for policy solutions, sanitization, safer migration pathways, return and reintegration support. But talk is easy. What matters is whether these efforts reach the people on the route in rural areas, times of crisis, those who are misled, exploited as well. With us now is Ali Ibrahim. He's the IOM Nigeria head of Sub-Office, to go deeper on journeys that are dangerous and second chances that are given. Ali, welcome to Jasiri.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're happy to have you. All right, let's just get into the discussion, because it's it's important that we have them. How much decision would you say that to migrate is often driven Because when people migrate, there are reasons they give. Would you say how many of it can we say is driven by misinformation or social media portrayals versus actual economic desperation? Because those are like two pivots that they could just give reasons on.
Thank you very much. People migrate for real reasons. Definitely economic reasons play large part. The prospect for a better life, lack of economic opportunities, insecurity, environmental changes continue to drive people to migrate outward. Therefore, people will migrate, and migration is part of life, and especially in Nigeria, it's an integral part of the socio-economic landscape of the country. And therefore, this will continue, people will continue to move. What is important is that migration remains a choice and not a necessity. And people need to have the right information so that they can make the right decision. Therefore, IOM continues to work with communities and individuals to make migration safe and humane. And we are running programs working with governments and communities and all stakeholders to ensure that migration remains safe and humane and a choice and not a necessity.
All right, so let's talk about numbers now. They say data doesn't lie, but I'd like to ask, how accurate is the data on how many Nigerians are returning, are dying en route, or are just, migrating irregularly? That's number one. And then what are we missing? What are the blind spots?
Thank you. This is an important question, and data is important because it gives us evidence on what is happening on the ground. I would say that data remains fluid, but we have enough data to draw pattern and conclusion and to be able to make decisions. We continue to improve this data. IOM, for instance, through its Missing Migrants project, continue to document migration, disappearances, death along the route.
But are they on the increase though? If you look at last year,
what is the data? What do the trends tell us?
The trend continue to shift from time to time. And 2024, for example, interesting trends in different routes because the dynamics in these routes change. And smugglers and cartels that are involved in irregular migration pivot with changing policies and continue to beat enforcement. Therefore, we continue to track. But what is important is that regardless of change of these routes, the risk remain. Regardless of which route. For instance, we've seen, increase in 2024, the number of people crossing through the Sahel land corridor through Niger to southern Libya and to Europe. We've also seen in 2023 new dynamics where people are going through the Atlantic route to Canary Island. Although the majority of those from Mali and Senegal, a few also number come from Nigeria. So people are looking at different routes. In the event that, and this is the advocacy through IOM to our member states, is this irregular migration will continue to flourish so long as regular pathways are limited. So we are encouraging governments and stakeholders to expand regular pathways so that people do not have to take these dangerous routes.
It's really interesting because that was actually getting us into the next question in terms of the main irregular migration routes that Nigerians are currently using. But you talk about it being like a shifting landscape, even like the sands of the Sahel, constantly shifting, and that the smugglers, those who are trafficking them, those who are smuggling them, are also changing as enforcement changes, as so much of the landscape changes. So let me move to the next question. Along these routes that Nigerians are taking, and in the intro I said that people are paying thousands of dollars. They're not paying in Naira. Sometimes they pay in Naira, but a lot of times these people are demanding hard currency, US currency. They're paying thousands of dollars to be smuggled across these routes. So let's talk about the biggest risk that migrants face, and particularly for young women and girls, which is a large part of really, I know what the IOM is focusing on, but what are these big risks that the migrants face? What about young girls and women, what they're particularly exposed to as well? If you have data or examples of what's happening in this regard.
Yes, different routes presents different risks. I'll look at three. Land routes, especially what I talked about in the Sahel. People are crossing through the deserts. And
when you're saying crossing, you mean walking?
Walking and different types of transportation depending on what is possible. And therefore, there's a lot of people are exposed to a lot of, physical hardships, abandonment, dehydration, lack of food. Some get lost in the desert, and then coupled with that, when they are exposed to exploitation by traffickers and smugglers, they are also physically abused, sexual exploitation before they reach their destination. And once they reach their destination, the exploitation continues, especially those who are trafficked, because they are trafficked for economic reasons. And they are forced into, forced labor without pay, prostitution, and also other forms of abuses. Those who are trying to cross the seas are also exposed to precarious conditions. They are using, unworthy vessels that are not seaworthy. So shipwrecks are very common. I'm sure you have read news of boats capsizing and people dying. However, I think deaths on land are more
than deaths at sea,
and disasters on sea. But it's not really. Most of the times they go unreported because sometimes people don't know, people don't see them. So I mean, these are some of the risks that people are exposed to, and accounts from returnees that we work with, that we are helping them to come back, are horrific in terms of what they go through. So our call is to really, all the stakeholders to, again, expand the regular pathways so that people do not really continue to
choose irregular
these dangerous routes.
All right, hold that thought. Guys, we are on a conversation regarding irregular migration here on Jasiri. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll talk about the perils, the dangers, and most times the thought behind the move to go through the Sahel and other irregular routes here on Jasiri. We'll be right back.
Nigeria, welcome back. We were just talking, we were just caught, we're busy, getting some more information. But welcome back to Jasiri. If you're just joining us, we're discussing irregular migration, the perils and the challenges that people face. Nigeria is one of the countries leading in the numbers of returnees this year, with over 70,000 irregular migrants have been repatriated under International Organization of Migration Program since it began its operations. And about 27,000 of them have been reintegrated back into communities through the AVRR scheme. But behind the numbers are stories of danger, perilous routes, myths of greener pastures, and a huge exposure to abuse. Today we have with us Ali Ibrahim, IOM Nigeria's head of sub-office, about how people live, what they go through, and what happens when they come back. From IOM's data, which states in Nigerians record the highest? We want to know. Because I want to know if my state is among. Yes. You know, numbers of people returning from this irregular migration route. Do you have data to show you which states are, you know, leading in Nigeria?
And this is a bad lead.
Yeah.
It's not a competition. You want to win the prize.
You don't want to win the prize because in the past we know a particular state that Edo State was so high on the table. We want to know if they've fallen down the ranks or nothing has changed really.
Yeah, good question. We have data.
Leading now?
Leading now is actually Kano. Yes.
Are you kidding?
So, and again, I said migration shifts.
Yeah.
So now we are actually seeing new dynamics of
Kano of regular migrants out of Nigeria.
Yes.
That's shocking.
How did they pass?
Kano. And they're going to Niger.
Voila.
And in large numbers. And it's one of the areas now that we are actually organizing return to. In the years back, we used to do the returns to Lagos, but now we're actually having charter flights land in Kano because majority of those people who are being returned are from the north, Kano, Katsina, you know, and other states. Lagos is actually number 2. Edo has
they've led the leaderboard.
And a lot has actually contributes to that because, as you know, Edo used to lead, and partners together with the government have done a huge, you know, work in sensitizing the community in Edo on the dangers of irregular migration and safe pathways, and we see the numbers shifting. So some progress has been made, but Kano is leading now.
Thank God, my state is not there.
This is not the kind of thing you want to do.
You know, I'm actually shocked that a lot of northerners. Kano, it's like I didn't even see that coming at all.
That's interesting.
Would you say, I'm wondering, is that maybe the advocacy that we've done in the Southwest is more, and now a lot of people haven't gotten the same information or messaging in the North?
That could be some reasons we could attribute to that. Therefore, I think we need to do a lot of awareness raising in the North to educate communities about the dangers of irregular migration and trafficking in persons, so that they are able to make the right choices. Again, we are not trying to tell people not to migrate.
Not to go, do it properly.
Migration is again a choice, but we are trying to you know, give people the information that they require so that they are able to make these choices. Probably conflict in the North is also contributing to this. And generally also, you know, the limited economic opportunities, you know, in the country largely is also pushing people to, you know, explore. Of course, there is also this, you know, general media hype about the Japa phenomenon, where people believe that you know,
is rosy on that side.
Yes, exactly.
Let me quickly chip in. So, in terms of, is there a gender dynamic to it? Are there more men, more women, or even families?
It's actually almost a 50-50 split, and families also included, and even children. Families migrating with children. Also, we've seen that. But majority is young people, men and women.
Yeah, young people, the youth.
And I think the economic aspiration of young people is driving them to explore, you know, these
different options,
trying to migrate.
Let's talk about voluntary return and deportation. I mean, migrants who decide that they want to come back through IOM support. and migrants who have been, forced, come back, being deported. All right, so let's take a look at that. What are the challenges you face on both sides, with the ones who voluntarily want to come back through IOM support and the ones who are, they don't have a choice, but they have to come back? So what challenges do you face?
Just from the onset, to clarify, IOM does not actually get involved or deal with the deportation.
Yeah, voluntary return.
Because the deportation is not voluntary return.
Yeah.
So that is done by governments, and therefore IOM is not involved. However, when people find themselves back home through deportation, the government can get in touch with IOM and request assistance for that case.
Situation. And you've had cases like that?
And that situation will be assessed, and due diligence will be carried out, because we do not want to encourage deportation and also promote deportation. And therefore, that is not an area that we are actively engaged in. The area where we are fully engaged in is voluntary return, where a migrant find themselves in stranded, vulnerable situations outside the country and want to come back home for different reasons. There are many reasons why people want to really come back home. Some people may have actually migrated regularly, and they have been outside the country, but they find it difficult to continue living there.
So they just want to come back.
Maybe they are not able to cope up with the new cultures and
just new challenges.
They have new challenges, and now they want to come back. So those fall under AVRR assistance. The people who have lived forever there and in old age, they want to come and spend their last
the remaining years, the twilight years,
and they want to come back home. They could fall under this category.
Interesting.
And then people who may have migrated also irregularly find themselves in detention centers, arrested for being in the country irregularly, and then they now want to come back. They volunteer to come back because of the challenges they are facing in that country. It's better for them to be at home, so therefore they choose to come back. And then they liaise with the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs in that country. They are vetted as nationals of the country. They are cleared to return, and then the Foreign Affairs Ministry liaises with IOM. So it's actually a government request.
And so there's actually a process. There's a chain. There's a value chain.
Because IOM cannot just bring people back to a country without a due process. So those who do not have travel documents, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs process their temporary travel documents, what we call emergency documents, and then they are put on a list. IOM is engaged. If funds are available, IOM then supports them with the transportation and reintegration assistance back home.
There are two more questions that we want to jam in, but time is out with us. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, let's quickly talk about reintegration success. And then even what happens, are you involved with those who are repatriated and then find themselves, let's break this cycle of people who do go back. Because even after IOM repatriates, some people find their way out of the country again irregularly. And then we'll talk about the myth of greener pastures before we wrap up. Let's take a quick break. Jasiri will continue after this. The conversations off air are absolutely fascinating. And of course, we said earlier, thousands of dollars is what many Nigerians spend on their attempt of irregular migration. And then they sell property, sell everything they have to make this dream possible. But sometimes it doesn't work. A lot of times it does not work. So, Ali Ibrahim, how does the IOM assess reintegration success? Are there criteria that you use in terms of looking at the people you've assisted to come back? Is there any further assistance you give them? Because sometimes we've told that maybe there's some small fund to get them to their state or wherever they say they want to go. But beyond that, there are also cases where people have been repatriated and they attempt to migrate again because maybe reintegration fell short, or there are other complex factors at play that many of us are not aware of. How do we break that cycle? So 2 questions in one, because we are tight for time now.
Thank you very much. I would say that reintegration is a process, and it takes time, and also is very resource intense. A person is said to have been sustainably reintegrated when they attain economic self-sufficiency, social stability, and psychosocial well-being. So we measure achievement of sustainable integration through these 3 dimensions: economic, social, and psychosocial. And IOM works with returned migrants through a process, counseling and helping them identify what they want to do back home, and through that process they are able to be assisted. Resources are very limited to be able to really do what we would have loved to do, and migrants will have sustainably reintegrated. Numbers are increasing by the day, and funding is also reducing, as you know. It's an area that requires quite some work. And reintegration also requires a comprehensive approach because you need to address the drivers that actually pushed these people migrating in the first place. So if the conditions still exist in areas of return, and their reintegration assistance is not fully met, migrants again find themselves migrating regularly. And while we continue to encourage people to, of course, explore safe migration, the hope is that once somebody returns from an irregular migration situation, they stay home and are able to reintegrate back into the community sustainably.
Off air, you were telling us about the feelings that some people have when they are repatriated that sort of force them to go back into irregular migration again. I think I'd want you to just emphasize on that.
So people, as we were talking about irregular migration, it's very expensive. So they spend a lot of money, thousands of dollars. They sell their assets, they borrow money from families and friends.
So they come back to nothing, and they come back to those debts.
If they come back to nothing, and their reintegration assistance is difficult, and the return context is still challenging, they may end up again remigrating again irregularly. So we've, of course, seen a situation where migrants have migrated multiple times.
Not once.
Not
come back and go once. So
multiple times.
So multiple times. Is it necessarily that it's IOM that's repatriating them and they're still going? So they're on your record. Jeez,
they're on your record. Yes.
Wow. And you offer the same assistance. So what moves them to try again these multiple times? Is it that the environment is hostile to them, or?
I mean, the prospects of a better life continue driving them to try and try and try different routes. And I think there's also this, social media that also paints a rosy picture of those who have succeeded. And, so people...
That's actually where we're about to end.
You know, a few weeks ago, a young Nigerian returnee shared a story, and she urged the Nigerians to stay at home after she was repatriated by IRM. She was just about 20 years when she made the decision to leave Nigeria for Libya. But instead of greener pastures, Mercy walked into modern-day slavery. She said for 4 years, she worked without pay, so the money she was looking for, she didn't get. She was shuffled from one job to the other and was eventually locked away in a house by her Libyan employer. For over a year, she was trapped behind bolted doors and iron gates, cut off from the world. And this is a warning to others. Let's hear what Mercy said out of her own mouth.
No matter the situation, don't leave the country. Because due to my own situation, I was like, maybe when I get here, I'll be able to send something more. But when I got even 5 naira, I couldn't even see to send home.
Even 5 naira she couldn't see to send home. And the truth is, we tell these stories when somebody has been repatriated and is willing to share. It's on the front pages, it's in the media, but people are not hearing. So as we're wrapping up, I think one of the biggest things is, what do we do to dispel the myth of greener pastures abroad? Because how effective is our awareness if we still have so many thousands of Nigerians who are willing to put their lives on the line and try to migrate irregularly or illegally? And I notice IOM doesn't use illegal migration, you use irregular migration. So how do we dispel the myth of this greener pastures abroad? Because somebody will say, it's not my portion. We know Nigerians, if you've been here long enough, the exceptional one, it will not happen to us or our family. All the bad things that have been happening to other migrants, it won't be our portion. So how do we address that?
Awareness raising is an integral part of our programs, is part of our prevention work, together with government agency counterparts. By the way, we work, we're actually supporting the government. We are not doing this in isolation. We are working with the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs. We are working with the NAPTIP. We are working with the Migrants Resource Center in the Ministry of Youth and Employment. And we are running and continue to run awareness raising campaign to make available facts and correct information about situation. We also don't want to create fear. We just really want to provide, because people again have to make right decisions to migrate. We are not trying to make migration look like it's bad, right? Yes. And we're seeing really people changing perceptions and decisions when to migrate and how to migrate and through which routes. And this is actually the purpose of awareness raising. But information campaign alone cannot really achieve. We need to address the root causes of irregular migration, which is largely the economic situation for which people are actually trying to migrate outward and address.
Okay. All right, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ali Ibrahim, for being our guest on the show and shedding more light on irregular migration.
And we'll continue the work.
And we will continue the work.
Thank you very much for having me.
As a team and as a broadcast outfit here.
Continue the conversation on migration.
Yes, we will continue the conversation on migration. So the dream of a better life abroad continues to drive thousands of Nigerians into dangerous journeys across deserts, detention camps, and deadly seas. But as we've heard today, the cost is far higher than most imagine. With over 70,000 already repatriated and thousands more still at risk, irregular migration isn't just a statistic. It's a crisis of hope, opportunity, and survival. The challenge now is clear. How do we make staying in Nigeria a choice as powerful as leaving? Until that question is answered, this cycle will continue. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for being a part of Just Say.